following the altercation between the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who represents Kogi Central Senatorial District, over seat allocation in the Red Chamber on Thursday. A non-governmental organization, the Middle-Belt Vanguard, has condemned the alleged rampant intimidation and discrimination against women in leadership. The group also called on the Senate to serve as a platform for integrity, justice, and fairness rather than one of intimidation and humiliation. President of the group, Godwin Miliga, in a statement signed and released to journalists in Abuja, criticized Akpabio for publicly humiliating the senator, citing a previous incident where he made disparaging remarks about her speaking without recognition. According to Meliga, the Senate President's behavior was not an isolated event. He said, on February 20, 2025, Akpabio reallocated Senate seats but failed to consult or notify the affected senators, including Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan, he stated. Meliga pointed out that while the Senate President has the authority to assign seats, fairness and due process dictates that senators should be informed beforehand. He said, Senator Natasha was unfairly silenced when she tried to address the issue, with her concerns dismissed on the grounds that she was not seated in her assigned spot. This, Meliga argued, was an example of a double standard, especially since Senator Akpabio himself had previously raised similar concerns during Bukola Saraki's tenure as Senate President and was allowed to speak even from an unassigned seat. He questioned why the same privilege was not extended to Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan, describing it as a clear case of discrimination. The group therefore urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, fellow senators, and Nigerians to stand in solidarity with the Kogi lawmaker and ensure she receives the respect and fairness she is entitled to as an elected representative. Meliga reassured Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan to remain resilient in the face of adversity, asserting that her service to the people of Kogi Central should not be undermined. He further declared that the Middle-Belt Vanguard would not tolerate any form of discrimination against women in leadership, nor the erosion of democratic principles in the country. George, what do you make of this statement?
Well, I must say that the matter has turned from what we all knew was transpired to protecting. It becomes a gender issue, trying to protect the woman. From what we saw here is that Akpabio is trying to intimidate Natasha because she's a woman and all of that. That's not the position for me. That's not what I saw that played out on that day.
Okay.
If from what he's saying that Akpabio was in similar situation during Senator Saraki's time as Senate President, yes, something similar happened. Akpabio tried to raise the issue, but later apologized to the Senate President because he realized that he made a mistake. First thing first, it is the prerogative of the leadership of the Senate to reassign seats. If that has been done, I think at that moment when a point of order was raised, calling on Natasha not to make any statement until she moved her seat and all of that, the best thing would have been to move. After the gavel has been hit, a decision has been reached by the Senate President. She had no right to begin to read the order book and trying to constitute nuisance in that house by trying to raise her voice, gaslighting the whole thing. So for me, I think she did not act well as a lawmaker because they are the ones making this law, so she should be seen as abiding to these laws that they made. There is a standing rule in the Senate. Akpabio did not make that rule. Whatever may have transpired between she and Akpabio behind the scene, which you and I are not aware, is not our business. We are talking about what actually happened at the floor of the Senate. That place is the hallowed chamber. So constituting news and disrupting the whole proceeding doesn't make any meaning. Even in our social clubs, even our normal family meetings or whatever organizations you belong, there are internal rules. Those rules must be obeyed, they must be followed. So if the rule is that it is the prerogative of the leadership to reassign seats, and it has been done, whether with notice or prior notice, it has been done, it has been done. For me, it would have been to obey and later bring up the matter in a plenary where it will be discussed. But this, she decided to, raise her voice, cause some kind of commotion in the house, which, ordinarily, if they investigate it properly, she may go in for it, like suspension or something. But again, we all need peace, people do make mistakes at times. It should serve as deterrent to others by, the Senate issuing a strong warning that such a thing will not be called. That's my own position now, so that we can all be at peace with ourselves and make sure that they come up with good laws that will help Nigeria. Because in a situation of rancor and acrimony, you don't see anything. Whether you like it or not, there are those in the Senate that will cite Senator Akpoti. Yeah, Natasha Akpoti. And there will be those in favor and in support of the Senate President. So that can also lead to division and all of that. So for me,
but the House has house rules. And when a lawmaker is being sworn in, he or she pledges to abide by the rules of the House. And the rules of the House is binding on members of the House. And the seats were reassigned based on, I think, majority decision and all that. The truth is that other people whose seats were reassigned simply obeyed the House rules. Why didn't Senator Natasha obey the House rules? I think these are the questions that we should be asking. Why didn't Senator Natasha obey the House rules? And if she disobeyed the House rules, why now trying to present the Senate President in a certain light? One would ask, is there something going on? Because this whole thing is making it look like something is going on. It's probably that Nigerians are yet to find out, or Nigerians are yet to know. You understand?
That's why I made the point earlier to say that something might have been, going on behind the scene that you and I are not aware. We're only discussing on what we saw.
What we have seen play out.
Yeah, that play out on, like you said. Before you take the oath of allegiance to the state and oath of allegiance to oath of office, there are standing rules. You have pledged your loyalty to belong to that group and abide by whatever rules that is governing the operations of that group. So what she did that day, it's obvious that she was wrong. So it is for the Senate to set up a committee. I know they have something like that, a committee to investigate her actions, and if she's found culpable, they will, in line with the provisions of their, in-house rules, internal rules, deal with her. But I am only suggesting that at this time we do not need much of such problems. Even in dealing with her, it shouldn't be with the sledgehammer. It should be with something that she can manage and learn her lesson from there, and we'll move on. But like you said, there might have been something. It is not the work of you people journalists to do your investigation.
That one would be the conversation for gossip columns. I don't delve
to find out if there are things that
I don't delve into that.
No. It may not actually be something that some gossips have been saying. It may be like, because she's a woman I don't like women or something like that. I'm a chauvinist. Is
she the only?
No.
Is she the only female senator?
It calls for investigation to find out why it happened. She's not the only female, but you don't know if she's
the most vocal. The thing now is that this is not the first altercation between her and Senator Akpabio on the floor of the House. And you recall that when the first one happened, there were a lot of backlash on Senator Akpabio, which even some bloggers went the extra mile to now start digging into certain things that were personal about Senator Akpabio. And I recall that he came to the House and said that his phone crashed, his wife's phone crashed as well, and he had to apologize, right? But one would say that incident went to the favor of Senator Natasha. Okay. But now we are looking at clear disregard to the rule of the House. But what is beating me hollow that I want to ask you now is, why is it that when matters come up like this, it's giving a gender undertone? right? It's giving a gender undertone. And now the statement, nobody now is talking about Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Did she follow the House rules? Did she obey the House rules? And when she was called to order and said, you cannot speak from a seat that you were not assigned to, she still went ahead to keep speaking. I can remember at some point, I think her mic was turned off and later came on. She still went on and on and on and on and on. And the question would be, is that in line with the House rules? Why do Nigerians or women in Nigeria, if I might use our, some women in Nigeria, bring in this gender angle when issues come up and not address issues as it's supposed to be addressed?
Nigerians are emotional people. You know, the women folk for a very long time have been under the apron strings of the men. Men dominating in almost all the social spheres of life. So just recently, not too quite long a time, that women are beginning to, you know, be given positions of leadership positions of authorities and all of that. So what you see played out was what we call women support women. And unfortunately, not just the women, there are some men who wants to be seen as sounding politically correct. Then another major issue there is because Nigerians love to hate the political class, the ruling class, which Akpabio is one. Unfortunately, they forgot. They failed to realize that Akpabio is not just Akpabio. Akpabio is the Senate President, the third in command, wielding such, you know, power and authority in favor of the Nigerian people, as was granted to him by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it's not just the Akpabio, you know, it is about the person occupying that, you know, exalted office. So like you said, because of some of these things, many Nigerians who are always emotional refuse to ask the right question. What may have led Akpabio to do this? Was he right to have done that? And why didn't this lady, you know, oblige the position of the Senate? Instead, she went on to disrupt the whole proceeding by the vituperative words she was, you know, dishing out on that very day on camera, you know. So, but you will agree with me that Nigerians love to play the victims, and whoever plays the victim, they want to support the person against the bigger person. So they just feel that Akpabio, who have been known to have some challenges, you know, we recall the case of him and Joy Nune, you know, the NDDC or something. So based on that, Nigeria wanted to roast him alive, even when he's right, or he was right. So the challenge is with Nigerian people, the way we think, because over time our mind have been bastardized based on what the ruling class have been doing. So for us, even without investigating the issue to ascertain who was wrong and who was right, we've already proclaimed Akpabio to be wrong. One, because he's a man as against a woman. Secondly, because he's Akpabio based on his antecedent. Thirdly, because he's one of the ruling class, so, you know, trying to undermine the voice of a woman. Looking at all this together, most people do not want to bother to, you know, ascertain what the issues were. They just pronounced him guilty as charged. But unfortunately, but thank God, let me even say this on air. I know of a lady, Jennifer Aaron. You know, when the matter broke out, normal, she joined voices with other Nigerians to condemn Akpabio. But on the second time, when she now watched the full clip, because what she watched was just a snippet, when she watched the full clip of what happened, and also did her investigation about the house rules, she immediately came to social media to dissociate herself from the support she gave to Natasha Akpoti, and said that Akpabio was right. You know, she condemned the actions of the woman. That is to say that we have some Nigerians who are, you know, reasonable. Even though she made a mistake earlier to join the bandwagon, she later realized and came to own up that, yes, I made a mistake. I am now withdrawing whatever support I was given. Many will not do it. They will just believe that, forget it, whatever, even what the Middle-Belt Vanguard is saying, they still did not realize the mistake that Natasha Akpoti did, Senator. They didn't realize it. from what they are saying here, they are still giving her some kind of support, including tacit ones, just to make sure that, you know, Akpabio is brought down or something. Let's call it speed is speed. She made a serious mistake. Let's even assume that the rules does not allow Akpabio or the leadership of the Senate to reassign those seats without, you know, prior notice to those who were sitting there. Let's assume, on assumption, without conceding. And it comes to that point. Does that require her to disrupt the proceedings of the Senate? Are there no other channel, other ways of expressing yourself and still getting results? Must she be, you know, is lawmaking activism? So obviously there might have been something, you know, bothering her that may have been happening behind the scene that you and I are not aware. If there is such a thing, she should open up.
She said a lot of things, actually, when she was telling Akpabio,
no,
I am not afraid
I don't
of
think
you.
Nigeria, I don't
so
think
apparently there are certain things, there are underlying issues that maybe are not yet addressed.
Obviously, from the way she responded, like
because
you said,
the action appeared to be reactionary to something that we are yet to know. Right? Because she was not the only person whose seats was reassigned. Okay. So why didn't she? I mean, others obeyed the house rule. Why didn't you obey the house rule?
So it is for she to, you know, if she feels that there is something that is happening behind the scene that we don't know,
she should tell Nigerians.
Yes, she can, you know, address the press on the matter, and the matter becomes an issue, which Nigerians will discuss, and the journalists will do the investigation to ascertain the veracity of her claim. But don't use whatever that you cannot substantiate or that you cannot even stand before the public to say to cause problem in the house. She'll be suspended. She will. And when she's suspended, that will be a loss to her constituents because the constituency will be losing from, you know, adequate representation in the Senate. So if she feels that whatever happened behind the scene is not something that she can be bold enough to speak outside, let her forever remain silent and align herself with the rules of the house.
All right, very